All right, chat. We got another react today. I'm not even gonna lie, bro. I'm surprised I got this dude's like video on my recommended. It looks like he knows what he's talking about. I'm not gonna lie, Troy Burt, bro. Small YouTube channel, but I think he just is restarting because this video is formatted pretty well. It's called "The NFL Should Delete NBA." Goodness, it might still be flu game. The NFL should delete QB slides. Here's why. Let's just hear him out. Let's hear him out on this.
Tom Brady said that quarterbacks should be penalized for sliding late. And while I think the GOAT was right to criticize the quarterback slide, I actually think he was wrong because we don't need more penalties. All we really need to do is just delete the quarterback slide completely. Okay, wait just a second before you click off this video. I know you think I've lost my mind, but if you just give me a chance to explain, I promise that by the end of this video, even though you may not agree with me, you'll see that how I got to this conclusion is pretty reasonable.
We'll see.
I won't waste any more of your time, so let's go balls deep on the quarterback slide. If we just hop in our time machines and go back to 1985, things are obviously a lot different. Ronald Reagan's in the White House, Back to the Future is breaking box office records, and you might be shocked to learn that who might have been the most mobile quarterback in 1985 was a quarterback by the name of David Archer, who led all quarterbacks in 1985 with 347 yards rushing. When I saw that, I thought my own grandma could probably rush for 347 yards in a season, her bad hip and all. But it is important to note that there are some obvious reasons for why the quarterback rushing numbers were so low in 1985. Of course, offenses were different and didn't really lend themselves to quarterback rushing. Most of the quarterbacks in the league at the time also weren't the type of athletes that we're used to in 2025. But neither of those were the full reasons for why.
Goodness, what would they have done to Lamar if he played in the 80s, bro?
For quarterbacks not running the ball in 1985 was that if you ran the ball in 1985, you ran the risk of getting put on a t-shirt. We're literally talking about an era where defenders could launch themselves however they wanted at the ball carrier. Basic spearing rules did exist, but they hardly ever got called, and there was no talk of helmet-to-helmet hits at all. And it goes without saying that we did not have the rules in place that we do today to protect quarterbacks in the pocket. Because of that, the league realized that they had a bit of a crisis on their hands. Much like today, franchise quarterbacks were making the most money on the team, and they were sometimes getting their heads taken off trying to get a first down. Teams were watching their biggest investments get carted off the field, and let's be honest, nobody wants to have to go to the owner and explain that their shiny new $10 million investment is now in a hospital somewhere eating through a straw. So as the league searched for different ways to try and protect quarterbacks, the slide rule was born. And just like today, it was super simple. If a player slides feet first, the play's over, nobody gets murdered, and everybody gets to go home happy. And for about 20 to 30 years, depending on how you look at it, I think the slide rule worked perfectly great. However, slowly but surely over the last 10 to 15 years or so, something started to happen that a lot of people didn't see coming.
I'm a pre-fire this, but like people just stopped caring and they just started hitting people that were sliding again.
For decades and decades, the conventional wisdom was that the college game could never transfer to the pro level, and that was a big reason that we never saw the athletic type of quarterbacks that flourished in the NCAA. As we know now, that conventional wisdom was completely wrong. Options, RPOs, and the spread offense didn't just make their way into the NFL.
They evolved.
They've completely taken over. And with that came quarterbacks who were much more mobile and athletic than anything we'd ever seen before in the league. This new wave of quarterbacks brought completely new ways to play the position that had never been seen at the pro level. While I think that quarterback evolution has been good in most ways, this is where I start to have my issues with the slide rule. The slide rule made sense in 1985 when the game was much more violent and QBs were, for the most part, fragile pocket passers. However, today, many of the quarterbacks on the field are elite athletes who choose to run as a strategic weapon. And here's the problem with that. They get to be treated like runners when it benefits them, when they're breaking tackles, diving for extra yards, hurdling defenders, but then they switch and become fragile quarterbacks the second they need to slide.
I guess the way to refute that is that they still have to pass, like that's their goal. They're not a running back, you know what I mean? Like it's not like they're like Patrick Mahomes is like, yeah, you know, I'm not going to throw the ball at all. I'm just going to run. I think it'd be different if that was the case. Like if the quarterback is running every play, because even Lamar threw for what, 5,000 yards? Like they're still throwing for a lot of yards. These running plays are a fraction of what they're passing. And I think that's why we should keep the slide rule, because there's no QB that only runs. This isn't Madden. I'm willing to hear him out though. I'm willing to hear like where he's going with this though.
Just break that down a little bit further. We have guys like Josh Allen, who's 6'5", 237 pounds, extremely handsome, and runs a 4.75 40. For perspective, that's bigger than a lot of running backs. It's as big as some tight ends and faster than some of the linebackers and defensive linemen trying to chase him. And obviously, he's not the only dangerous runner. Lamar Jackson's rushed for over 1,000 yards in a season 2 times. Jalen Hurts' dump truck of an ass squats over 600 pounds, and we've seen how he runs the ball. I could go on and on about the other athletic threats at quarterback.
He's got good examples, bro. Like, those dudes are not, like, fragile. They're not.
But my point remains the same. These guys are not fragile pocket passers anymore. These are elite athletes, and many of them could probably start at multiple other positions. Like I said, while I think this evolution of the quarterback position has been good in most ways, when it comes to the slide rule, I think it's created 3 major issues that I'll break down right now. First, and maybe the most obvious, is there's a physics problem when it comes to the slide rule in general. Defenders are being asked to do something that's quite literally impossible. They need to charge full speed at an elite athlete with the intent to bring them to the ground and then magically stop on a dime if and when he decides to slide. Just put yourself in a defender's shoes for a second. You have Josh Allen with a full head of steam charging at you. He can run you over, hurdle you, juke you out of your socks, go out of bounds, or slide. If you're the defender in that situation and you don't commit fully to trying to take this guy down, you're 100% going to end up on his highlight reel. And on the other hand, if you do fully commit to the tackle and he decides to slide, you run the risk of getting a 15-yard flag thrown on you.
1 second.
Yo, I'm about to buy YouTube Premium, bro. Oh my goodness, bro. I'm buying it next stream, bro. I'm done, bro. I'm done. No, I'm actually done. I swear to you, I'm done, bro. This is ridiculous, bro. I can't even see anything because the ad blocker I used to have, I don't have it anymore on this computer. It's broke my YouTube. So now I have to wait every ad out no matter what.
Or getting suspended. It's just a lose-lose situation all around for defenders. Secondly, I think there's a big problem with fairness. I kind of talked about it already in the first point, but smart quarterbacks have figured out how to use this rule in their favor. They know that the guy across from them has to stop if they go to slide. So a lot of the quarterbacks will do little hesitations that look like it could be a juke, it could be a slide.
Needs to
really don't know. And that's
negate the slide rule when you do stuff like that.
Gives them an extra beat where they can skirt up the sideline.
That's how I
Patrick
think.
Mahomes does this all the time. It's psychological warfare, and it works. And I just want to say, I'm not saying that it's the quarterback's fault for doing this. It's like the old saying goes,
do it.
Don't hate the player, hate the game. Yeah. And quarterbacks are just optimizing how they play with the rules that they've been given. The third and final problem is a safety issue that I haven't really seen anybody talk about at all. There have been multiple instances where quarterbacks will still get hit when they slide, and when contact does happen in those situations, they often get hurt. And I think it's because the slide position itself puts them in one of the most vulnerable positions imaginable when it comes to taking a hit. Their legs are extended, they're leaning back, and they're just completely open. When contact does happen, the very rule designed to protect them actually makes the injuries worse when things go wrong. I've done enough talking about these problems. I have some examples to show you that actually prove my point. The first example I'm going to show you is of Patrick Mahomes against Houston in the playoffs. And this one example highlights both the fairness and the physics aspect that I talked about earlier. Okay. Now watch this slide. As you can see, he waits until the last possible second to slide, and 2 defenders who are already committed to the tackle barely graze him, and somehow that's a 15-yard penalty. No. For anybody who remembers, Troy Aikman, the Hall of Fame quarterback and the man I'm named after, was on the broadcast, and he was absolutely losing his mind. He said that he thought Mahomes was a runner, and he couldn't disagree more with the call. And I think in that moment, he highlighted how a lot of people felt.
Exactly.
Now in this second example, things get a little worse. This one's going to highlight the safety aspect I talked about as well, because what happens when a defender physically can't slow down in time, or worse, what happens when a defender decides they don't care, they're not going to slow down, and they're going to hit the quarterback anyways. It pains me to bring this up, but this is Trevor Lawrence getting concussed when he slid late against Houston. This play
was such a
is
dirty
what
play.
Caused Tom Brady to say that he thinks quarterbacks should be penalized for sliding late. I'm not here to debate it.
I agree. They should be penalized for sliding late. But this hit on Trevor Lawrence, bro, that dude was out of pocket for that, bro. We all saw him not attempt to slow down.
If Trevor slid late or if the defender didn't pull off in time, the one thing here that I think can't be debated is that when the protection of the slide fails and contact is made anyways, the offensive player is in a terrible position to take a hit. And in the case of Trevor Lawrence, he ended up getting severely injured. I would make the argument that if Trevor Lawrence had stayed upright and braced for contact as a runner, as every other runner does, he may not have gotten hurt at all. The worst part about the whole thing is that Trevor did absolutely nothing wrong here because his entire career he's been taught that the slide rule would protect him. These two examples show me the same thing. The slide rule just isn't working. It's not protecting quarterbacks, it's not being called fairly, and it's definitely not making the game better. So clearly, something needs to change, and the question is, what's the right fix? I said it already at the beginning of this video.
What's the
and
fix?
My solution is very simple. If you're a quarterback and you choose to run the ball, you're a runner, period. The reason why I think this would work so well is that it eliminates that gray area. This would do away with the 15-yard penalties of did that person slide late and is it really the defender's fault? And I think it would actually make most quarterbacks safer because they'd be more selective when they do run the ball. And when a defender's coming at them full steam ahead, they're going to brace for the hit like an actual runner would. Now, I know I'm just some random guy on YouTube with a microphone, but there are actual NFL players who've said similar things to what I'm saying. For example, someone like Micah Parsons has openly talked about how that little hesitation that I talked about earlier, where you don't know if the quarterback's going to slide or juke, can actually end up winning them entire games. Joe Thomas, the Hall of Fame offensive lineman whose job it literally was to protect quarterbacks, was actually the one who coined the term weaponized quarterback slide, referring to how quarterbacks have found a way to use the slide as an offensive weapon, and he said it needs to be removed from the game completely. Now, before I wrap things up, I do want to address some counters that I can already hear coming in the comment section. Yes, any ball carrier can slide in the NFL, but the reason I keep calling it the quarterback slide is because virtually only quarterbacks do it. I'm 99.9% sure if Derrick Henry,
like Lockett's a good example,
and he ended up getting hit, we would not be seeing the referees call a 15-yard penalty. The slide has essentially become a quarterback-only privilege. I can also hear some of you saying, but what about player safety? And the last thing I'm advocating for is for more players to get hurt. If you don't think that I love watching Lamar Jackson break ankles and Josh Allen run over linebackers, you're lying to yourself. That's just exciting football, and I love it just as much as anybody else. I just think that when the slide rule was implemented in 1985,
it was a different
time. It was
time.
a lot different. There were no rules protecting quarterbacks when they were in the pocket and vulnerable. And in today's game, compared to 1985, you already can't hit quarterbacks low. You can't hit them high. You can't land on them with their full body weight. You can't even touch them a split second after they throw the ball. I would argue that those rules that we already have in place protect the quarterback enough. The slide rule, on the other hand, I think is just completely unfair to defenders.
Good counter.
And like I said earlier, I think in some cases, the slide can actually put quarterbacks in worse positions where they will get more hurt because they're not prepared to take a hit at all. The 1985 rule made sense for 1985 quarterbacks, but it's 2025 and the game's changed a lot, and these quarterbacks are not the same as they were back then. Let's just delete the slide rule and simplify the game. And yeah, that's my entire rant. First of all, if you made it this far in the video, just wanted to say thank you for watching my first video on the channel. Let me know what you agree with.
It's his first video.
In the comments, and please be gentle. I am fragile like a 1985 pocket passer. If you want to see me go balls deep on other football related topics, let me know as well. Thank you all again, and I will catch you all in the next one.
Honestly, bro, W video, bro, like, he's gonna have a good channel, bro. Video was formatted well. It's got chapters. He countered, like, his argument. Like, very solid video. You see one video, 100K, 9 days. Like, honestly, genuinely just a good video. I'm not gonna lie. W video, no chat. Make sure y'all come through to the Twitch, StoryofMike with 2 eyes. Peace.